My mother tried to stop me from pursuing my dreams. Years later, I learned the truth and everything changed. I didn't land my dream job by chance. My mother's betrayal. My name is Maya Carter, and I once wrote a description for a job I knew I wasn't qualified for. Not just any job, but the job I'd been dreaming of since college. I rethought every word, perfecting it. Then I stared at the send button for minutes, and then I closed my laptop. I told myself this was hopeless. Am I kidding? I didn't belong there. A week later, my phone rang. Hi, this is Ethan Miles from Evergreen Wildlife Reserve. We received your resume and we'd love to invite you for an interview. My breath caught. I hadn't sent that resume, or at least I didn't think I had, but I went anyway. Because something in me whispered that maybe, just maybe, this was the universe giving me one last chance. Before we dive in, have you ever gotten an opportunity you didn't think you deserved? Leave it in the comments below. And if you like stories about second chances, quiet revenge, and finding your purpose, hit subscribe. Now, let me take you back to the night it all began. I was 32, living in Minneapolis, working as an operations manager for a logistics firm that moved freight across the Midwest. My days were a blur of spreadsheets, shipment delays, and conference calls about metrics that made my soul ache. My mother, Evelyn, loved to remind me how stable my job was. My parents were proud I was dying inside. 10 years earlier, I'd graduated with a degree in biology, filled with dreams of protecting endangered wildlife. But conservation was a brutal field, competitive, underfunded, impossible to break into. After too many rejections, I took a temporary job in logistics. 10 years later, I was still there, watching my life disappear under fluorescent light. One late September night, exhausted from work, I opened an old job board I used to torture myself with. And there it was, Conservation Program Coordinator, Evergreen Wildlife Reserve, full-time. Wildlife rehabilitation, education, partnerships, required. Biology background, program management, passion for wildlife. Northern Minnesota. My heart pounded. I opened their website, photos of forests, foxes, and eagles filled the screen. It looked like heaven until I saw the fine print. Minimum 5 years experience, master's degree preferred, proven track record in grant writing. My hope deflated. I had the passion, not the pedigree. But still, something in me refused to let go. I opened a blank document and wrote anyway. I reframed my logistics experience as coordination. I highlighted my biology degree, my volunteer work. I made it sound better real, but bigger. When I finished, I stared at the email draft for ages, my finger hovering above send. My heart pounded. Then I shook my head, whispered, "Don't be stupid," and shut the laptop. What I didn't know was that I had accidentally brushed the trackpad just hard enough to send the email. It flew off into the ether without me realizing. The next morning, my mother stopped by unexpectedly. She'd always had a way of appearing when I least wanted her to. "Up late again?" she said, looking at my computer. "Still chasing childish dreams?" "It's just a resume," I muttered. "For what?" "Something that doesn't matter." After I left for work, she stayed behind to clean up, but when she saw the sent email notification on my screen, her smile disappeared. She opened my outbox, read the message, and her jaw tightened. "Oh, Maya," she whispered, "you'll only embarrass yourself?" She clicked recall message, deleted the email and the attachments, then emptied the trash. "One day you'll thank me," she said to herself. But someone else saw her, my younger sister, Lily. Quiet, observant Lily, who'd spent her whole life watching me and Mom fight over who I was allowed to be. That night, after Mom went to bed, Lily reopened my laptop. She dug through the system, found the deleted draft in a recovery folder, and just stared at it. Her hand trembled over the mouse. "You deserve this," she whispered. Then she clicked send. That one click changed everything. A week later, my phone rang. "Hi, this is Ethan Miles from Evergreen Wildlife Reserve. We received your resume." "My resume?" I repeated, stunned. "Yes, received last Thursday." I couldn't breathe. "Oh, wow, yes." Of course, I had no idea what had just happened, but I went. I had to. 2 days later, I was driving north past suburbs, past small towns, until pine trees swallowed the sky. Evergreen sat at the edge of a frozen lake. The sign read, Evergreen Wildlife Reserve, since 1989. It looked like a forgotten piece of paradise. Ethan greeted me at the lodge, mid-50s, graying beard, eyes both kind and exhausted. Glad you made it, he said. We've been hoping to find someone like you. I smiled awkwardly, still trying to understand how he'd even gotten my resume. When I asked, he chuckled. Technology works in mysterious ways. He showed me around. The place was beautiful, but falling apart, cracked fences, fading paint, old cages, injured animals watched us silently from enclosures. Something inside me shifted. This was what I wanted to fight for. Back in his office, Ethan sighed. I'll be honest, Maya. We're drowning. Our biggest donor vanished. Grants dried up, and we've got 6 months left, maybe less. He looked at me. We need someone who can organize, fundraise, and fight for this place. Someone who won't quit. I've never written a grant, I admitted. But you've managed chaos, he said. That's half the battle. I should have said no. Instead, I said, when do I start? It paid half my current salary, but I didn't care. For the first time in years, I felt alive. My first day was chaos. The staff was small. Dr. Henry, a kind but weary vet. Claire, who managed rehab. Rick, who fixed everything that broke. My desk was a folding table under flickering lights. These are our grant files, Ethan said, dropping a stack of papers. These are our donors, and these, he tapped a smaller pile, are the rejection letters. I worked 12-hour days, learning on the fly. My first grant proposal was rejected. My first fundraiser flopped, the press never came, the generator failed, half the attendees left early. I drove home that night and cried so hard I could barely see the road. I overheard Ethan and Dr. Henry later. She's trying, Henry said, but she's not ready. Ethan sighed. Maybe, but she's all we've got. I almost quit, but something inside me refused. I remembered the eagle in the rehab cage, eyes sharp, unbroken. I called my best friend Olivia. I can't do this, I said. I'm failing. She was quiet, then asked, do you love it? More than anything. Then stop crying and learn. That night, I did. I enrolled in grant writing courses, studied proposals, joined nonprofit forums, cold email directors. I rewrote every rejected grant. 3 months later, I got 2 approvals, $20,000 and $30,000. It wasn't enough, but it was survival. Then I hosted a winter fundraiser, this time with schools, community groups, local media. We raised $12,000 in one night. Slowly, hope returned. Then came the storm. January. Ice, blackout, panic. The generators failed. A young fox died before we could restore heat. I held its tiny body and whispered, I'm sorry. Ethan found me in the dark. This is what it costs to care, he said quietly. I didn't sleep for 2 days. After that, I stopped fearing failure. I became relentless. By February, I launched an online campaign, Save Evergreen, sharing photos, videos, truth. It went viral. Donations poured in, $50,000 in 3 weeks. Local news arrived. Volunteers rebuilt fences. A contractor donated supplies. For the first time, the sanctuary breathed again. Ethan called me into his office. You did it, Maya. We're safe for now. But I couldn't stop thinking about that resume. The one that had somehow found its way here. I checked my email. Nothing in sent, nothing in drafts. Weeks passed, then months. I let the mystery fade until years later, the truth found me. It happened one spring afternoon. My sister called. You should come home, she said. Mom's been difficult again. I hadn't been home in years. When I walked into that house, it felt like stepping into a museum of old wounds. Mom was in her chair, watching me with that same disapproving smile. Well, she said, looks like my little dreamer finally found her miracle. Not thanks to you, I muttered. Oh, come on, Maya, she said, voice dripping with pride disguised as venom. If I hadn't stopped you from embarrassing yourself back then, who knows how badly it could have gone. My stomach dropped. What do you mean? Stop me. Lily froze across the room. Mom, don't, she warned. Stop you from sending that ridiculous resume, Mom continued. You weren't ready. I deleted it. I was protecting you. The room went silent. I turned to Lily. What is she talking about? My sister's eyes filled with tears. You didn't send it, Maya, she whispered. Mom did. She canceled it. But I found it and sent it again. For a moment, the world went still. I heard my heartbeat, the ticking of the clock, my mother's sharp inhale. You what? Mom hissed at Lily. But I didn't care anymore. I was staring at the truth, the tangled chain of betrayal and love that had shaped my life. The resume that changed everything had been sent, cancelled, and resurrected without me knowing. My mother's fear, my sister's faith, my own hesitation. It all collided in one cruel, perfect symmetry. You tried to stop me, I said softly. You wanted me small. I wanted you safe, she snapped. No, you wanted me scared, I said. Then, looking at Lily, and you saved me. She smiled through tears. I just hit send? I laughed, shaking my head. That's all it took. That night, driving away from that house for the last time, I realized something. My resume had been touched by three women, the one I used to be, the one who tried to break me, and the one who believed in me. That's what fate really is, a collection of choices, some cruel, some kind, all colliding to make us who we are. A year later, standing at Evergreen's new education center, I framed that same resume. Not because it was perfect, but because it was proof. Proof that no one, not even my mother's doubt, could stop what I was meant to do. On a bright April morning, we released the eagle I'd once watched behind the cage. She soared into the sky, free and fierce. The crowd cheered. Ethan whispered beside me, "This is why we fight." And I thought, no, this is why we rise. My name is Maya Carter, and this is how I turned betrayal into purpose. How I took the chains of someone else's fear and forged them into wings. How I took my life back.